Hello and welcome to Stories Around the Fire. Tonight's guest is Kamryn with Thieving Magpie Photography. She is a professional photographer and artist based in Austin, Texas, where she manages to have a brilliantly eclectic life. She has traveled the world and created around both her own experiences and those she has witnessed and studied. She is not only a business owner, artist, and VIP in her day job, she is a mother, sister, and friend to many. She has captured some of the most beautiful photos I've ever seen, and I can usually almost always tell that it's her photo. She just has something like very unique about her stuff, and you should totally check it out. But let me connect with her right now. We'll get her on. Hey, Ellison. Hi.
Hey,
How are you?
good. Can you see me? 'Cause
I can see you.
I can't see myself.
Oh, really?
What's up with that? Do I have it turned the wrong way? No, I probably saw my stairs. Okay, let me try sending you a request. I'm gonna hang up.
Okay. There we go. I think we got it now.
I've never done this before yet. Still not showing you. That's okay. It's probably better if I can't see myself because then,
Really?
because then I won't be like super self-conscious, you know.
I know. For like the first couple ones, I was like, listening and looking at the person, and so I didn't even like look up at all. So yeah, I'm trying to balance that. Well, thank you so much for being here.
For sure. Yeah, I'm usually not on this end of interviewing, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll have fun. It'll be fun. So I'll jump right in. The first thing I guess to talk about that I wanted to talk about with you was how did you get into photography? Is it something that you've always pursued, or was it a later in
I
life?
mean, I'm trying to think, how did I get into photography? Like, I mean, my first photos that I took were when I was maybe like 19, where I just photographed a friend of mine with some black and white film. And like in 2003, I want to say, is when I like started to get really into it. And I took like black and white photography classes at Tulsa
Um,
Community College.
yeah,
Um, and that just kind of like spiraled into its own thing. So.
yeah, that's cool. Were you into like you were into art and stuff before that though? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, my grandma, and I'm sorry, I'm holding my phone, and I'm like, I set up my video lights because I wanted to look presentable because I had a very challenging yoga class not too long ago, and
Oh,
my face was still red a minute ago from it. So I was like, oh no, I look a little. Anyway, yeah. So my grandmother, I kind of was like brought up around art. My grandmother, she does like chickens and landscapes and
oh,
um, flowers and things like that. And like that's like my summers were spent, well, not my whole summers, but several weeks of my summers growing up were spent in East Texas on her farm. And she would try to get me to paint. I don't think I had any interest in it,
okay.
interest in it then, but yeah, yeah.
That's
So yeah,
cool. That's cool. I mean, I love your stuff. I love the stuff that you paint, that you draw. I love that stuff. It's so good. It's so cute, so pretty. Um, I've seen that you collect oddities.
I
Um,
do. I
yeah,
don't know if
tell me a
I
little
don't
bit
know if
about
I would
that.
like call them oddities per se. I mean, they're just like skulls and stuff. And that's another thing. Like, spending my summers at my grandma's is like she has like the elephant, not an elephant graveyard. What the heck? A cow graveyard. So she raises cows, and a lot of times we would just go like check out their bones, or there would be like deer, or just lots of dead things, which is fascinating, right? To watch the
Right.
decomposition process. My dog. So my house backs up to like farmland, and when my
Okay.
dog likes to get out of the fence, he's brought me back 6 dead raccoons. They were already dead, but he clearly did not kill them. Like I think the farmer that lives back there killed them. So that kind of was my foray into like learning to clean. And I've tried to like skin. I tried to skin a squirrel, and
Wow.
I also, I mean, I skinned it, but it made me sick to my stomach. I can't explain it. Like smelling the meat, like it smelled kind of good, right? So you were just like, it's like this, it's almost like this cognitive dissonance where you like, I don't know, I don't want to do it again. But I like the bone bleaching process. Well, it's not bleach, you use hydrogen peroxide, but like I can show you a couple of my bones.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I cannot see what the video is. So maybe I just, well, shit, how am I going to do this? Well, let's see. Um, tell me what you can see.
Um, I see bones and
You're like,
a little
oh.
rabbit and a pink skull.
So this is one of the raccoon skulls. God,
Oh,
I don't know why my camera is doing this. This I found in my grandma's. This I found at my grandma's. This is I don't know if you can see this, but this is my dog's. It's a dog skull, which I believe to be her longtime beloved pet lady, I think her name was.
what?
This is also like part of a spinal column um, from one of her cows,
That's
one of the
cool.
vertebrae. This is another raccoon skull. This dude, can you see this dude? He's
Yeah.
the first, I know he's not very pretty. I need to change his liquid, but he's the first dude, the wet specimen I've ever prepared. Um,
Wow.
I found him on the side of the road. Like I mean, they're all I do this ethically. I don't. I would never harm an animal to collect them.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So it's just interesting. Let me flip it
That's
back.
very interesting.
Um, I don't know. I just have always had a curiosity for nature, that kind of thing.
Right, right. No, that's super cool. I don't think I've ever, I mean, I've been around people when they like dealt with deer stuff back home in Louisiana. But I've never been around anybody that like used it like for art stuff. And that's very cool. It's super interesting.
Yeah, and like, if you take a drawing class in college or whatever, like that's one of the things they'll have you study is like a skull or some interesting shaped bones because they're white and the way the shadows play off of them will give you like a good observational education, you know.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool. So you said your grandma is creative. Is anybody else in your family creative?
Yes, my sister Margaret, she is like she is an amazing artist. And my niece, Jin, her art is amazing too. They're really into like what do they call them? Like people who are really into like the Korean pop.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. I don't know what they're called, but I know what you're talking about.
I'm sorry, Margaret, if you see this. I don't remember what it's called, but so they draw like all of the like K-pop dudes. And
Oh,
yeah, and my sister also, she has like a K-pop business where she holds like, I guess it's a big thing for them to do like dance competitions.
oh yeah.
So she does that, and she does like K-pop merchandise in Midland, Texas. So, but
Wow.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
That's super cool. That's a very, I feel like it's a unique business.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's Midland, so there's not really that much going on there in terms of culture anyway. So I don't know if
Right.
you've ever been there, but I lovingly refer to it as the armpit of Texas. Um, I mean, it's yeah.
So you also, in addition to photography and art, you also travel a lot. Is that like a cathartic thing for you? Is it like inspiring? Is it more like I'm getting away from everything and not being creative for a minute?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I honestly wish that I traveled more, and I'm so sorry. My son just got home, and my dogs are going to be a little bit loud. I mean, I just have like a drive to travel. It's sort of like just my curiosity with seeing things, experiencing other cultures, and kind of figuring out like where I want to go next.
Yeah.
Really,
What has been your favorite place that you've visited?
I loved Ireland.
Oh,
Um, a lot of people know it as the Emerald Isle, but it is also referred to as the land of 100,000 welcomes, 10,000 welcomes, a lot of welcomes. Um, so, the whole experience was wonderful. And, we can trace our family lineage back pretty far, and we're pretty Irish. And even my DNA results say that I'm like 60% Irish. So, I felt the calling of being home, so.
yeah.
Yeah. So really just the people and the landscapes and sort of my misadventures. And I went, part of it was a work trip. And unfortunately, my sister had passed away a few days before I got there, and she lived in the UK. Anyway, it's a whole thing. So the whole experience was sort of what I needed in the moment.
Right. Yeah. What are some places on your bucket list?
Iceland. Iceland's definitely on my bucket list. Like everywhere, but
Right.
in the front of my mind, I would say Iceland, Thailand, anywhere in Central and South America. Like I super want to go to Ecuador. It is the most biodiverse place in the world. I'm super into birds.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there's something like 500, more than 500 different species you can see, and most of them are endemic, so they don't really travel.
Mhm.
They don't do, a lot of them don't migrate. So, but a lot of them do. So you could theoretically go to these big birding spots, 2 different times of year and see a completely different set of birds. So, Indonesia is another place that has like
Oh, yeah.
hella birds and just interesting wildlife. Papua New Guinea is another place I would love to go. And of course, all these places are like Papua New Guinea is very, like, I've never found a cheap flight there.
Oh,
Um,
really?
so yeah, anybody listening, if you know some cheap
Hey,
flight
Matt.
to Papua New Guinea,
Yeah, she needs cheap tickets. She's ready to go.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
I think we still can't travel yet, though, right?
Yeah, probably not. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I think we can't. Americans aren't
Yeah,
allowed because we can't play nice and wear our damn masks.
we can't behave.
Yeah.
So the bird thing, what's up with that?
Just my whole life, I've always, if I caught an interest in something, like I go for it. Like I
Right.
learn everything I can about it. It's just the obsessive tick of someone on the spectrum. Um, it's just, it's how I operate. Like I'm always obsessed with something no matter what. I'm not even obsessed, but like something to just kind of like have like all of this, like just all this energy, I guess you could say, like all of this just a lot of fast energy is all how I can describe it. And I need somewhere to put it. So yeah, I game a lot. That helps.
Yes.
Um, but birds, and they're interesting. Birds are basically like highly evolved dinosaurs. So,
Right.
you can see the story of evolution through birds, and I think that's fascinating. And then like the way their behaviors and adaptations and things like that are also super interesting to study. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's neat. Yeah. That's cool. Birds are a little bit scary to me, like the big ones. Like the harpy eagles, they're like
They're so cool.
huge.
Have you ever seen a shoebill stork? Those
I
dudes
think I've
are
seen a picture. Yeah.
they're super terrifying looking, but they are very gentle
Oh,
and like kind, like very cool birds. I also want to go to Japan
oh
because
yes, me too.
they have them in a zoo there. I mean, I could go see them in the wild in Africa, but that kind of stuff seems scary to me. Like I don't want to be somewhere so wild that something could eat me.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta
Yeah.
have,
Well,
I don't know. Yeah.
super safe. Where is the most dangerous place you've ever been? Speaking of safety,
Most dangerous place I've ever been. Like nature,
America.
like nature wise or people wise?
People.
Well, there was one time when it was in Moscow, and it was later in it was at night. It was probably like 11. And my friend lives at the end of the Green Line, and at the very end of the green, well, she lives like it's the Green Line and a tram. But the end of the green, maybe it wasn't the Green Line, maybe it's the blue. It doesn't matter. So I ended up at the end of one of these subway stations, the metro. And dude, I mean, I was in a boot because I had broken my ankle, so I was in Russia for a month with a boot. And
Oh,
that was weird. Like when I saw other people with injuries, they didn't have a boot. So just the act of wearing a boot kind of made me foreign, right? Like, but it just, like as I was walking, you could like there were some dudes who just seemed kind of shady. That's the most unsafe I felt. But I mean, nothing happened. It was just it was in my noggin, right? Like,
right. An uneasy.
um, yeah, but in nature, the scariest place I've ever been is like the Narrows. So the Narrows are these slot canyons in Zion National Park. It's like I want to say it's a 7 mile hike out and back. And you have to wade through water. You need a walking stick. The dangerous thing is they don't let you hike all times of the year. That day there was a possibility of a flash flood. Now, when you're in a slot canyon, I mean, it's super narrow. So if a bunch of water comes rushing through, you're probably going to die. You're
Yeah,
probably
there's
going
no
to
way.
drown. Yeah. So they're like, we can't prevent you from hiking there, but today, but there is a possibility of a flash flood. So that was exhilarating.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, usually there's some notice, a few minutes notice, and those times you'll have to like climb up this side, but sometimes there's nowhere to climb up. It's just straight canyon because it's so
Right.
steep. But that was pretty exhilarating. I want to do it again. Like there's a 2-day hike you can do that you start at a different point, and I want to do that one too. It sounds kind of rad.
Wow. That park is so pretty. I've not been, but just looking at pictures,
Yeah, do
definitely
it,
must.
do it.
Yes. So you mentioned being on the spectrum. Um, that was a more recent diagnosis, right?
Like a year ago, yeah.
Right, and it's Asperger's. I don't know that
Well,
much
they
about
don't
it.
they don't they don't call it that anymore. They just now call it autism. They just call it autism spectrum disorder. There's a whole movement to like stop calling it that, stop saying it's a like disorder, to even talk about it
Right.
like that, and to more like talk about it from the framework of like it's basically a different operating system than a neurotypical. So like you run on the OS, the Apple OS, and I run on Android. It's just
Right.
a different way. Like, so supposedly the people who have autism spectrum disorder are like, we have hyperconnectivity in different areas, like it could be science or art or language or whatever. But our we lack the same, like for your social mirror, those parts of the brain, we are missing a lot of um, those connections in the brain. So that's why there's like so much social awkwardness. It's because we don't understand your rules, and I've been accused of being like overly blunt, rude, and I'm like, well, now I mean, if I'm like, oh, duh, that's why I'm such a bitch. I mean, but I'm not. I'm not really. I'm just, I'm. It takes a lot of energy to try to play by the games and the rules of the neurotypical world. So
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, but yeah,
So
it
that
has been a
helps.
lot. What? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, you go ahead. I'll go ahead.
I didn't hear your question. Oh,
It's okay. I'll finish. I mean, I'll ask you when you finish.
I don't remember now. But no,
So,
I just really, I'm still learning a lot about it. I'm still trying to understand what it means. But I mean, honestly, I only tested because, oh my God, my dog is such an asshole. I only tested because I had made a joke of this guy I was dating for a couple of years, and kept telling him, he was he was very obviously on the spectrum. He was a postdoc fellow, and like, anyway, it doesn't matter. Some very stereotypical Aspie type of um, behaviors he displayed. So I sent him the ASQ50, which is a diagnostic tool, and he scored really high on it, and I took it just as a joke, and I scored really high on it. I was like, oh shit. So it kind of just led on this journey of like, oh well, this is why I have always felt like a weirdo alien, not fit in a lot of places, and why I've been so socially awkward and why people don't like get me. And so with, I mean, even before that, I had taken this class called Leadership Through Emotional Intelligence, which completely changed my life and completely changed how I interacted with other people. And has been the most like tremendously helpful thing is just to learn, because really it's about, it teaches you about how to speak to people in a, I don't know, in a way that doesn't make you sound like an asshole. So, yeah.
Well, that sounds neat. So it helped you understand things about yourself,
For sure.
just having the diagnosis, just knowing that, that
Yeah,
was
for sure.
something.
Yeah, and I have been ending up on ADHD TikTok, which is commonly comorbid. And I'm like, dude, I think I have ADHD. I'm going to take myself and my son to get tested. He's 21. You know, I'm pretty sure he is also on the spectrum. And I mean, he has a lot of behaviors that are super similar to mine, including that, like they call it a special interest, but really it's obsessive behaviors where, like, you know, you could have 5 million things to do, but you can spend 3 hours drawing or reading about birds, or just writing, you know, going out and, you know, just being super focused on that thing which you're interested in. So he has that same quality. So
Right. Well, that is very informative. I've, only heard stuff in, media or stories from, you know, um, on Instagram or Facebook. I haven't had a lot of experience with anyone who has been diagnosed, especially, maybe have gone their whole life without really realizing, what was up. So that's very interesting.
yeah, well, women are commonly under and misdiagnosed because of the way that we're socialized, because the expectations socially are so different on us than they are for men. But that's changing. Even the Dr. Asperger himself said that women couldn't have autism. Um, That's my big eye roll. But yeah, it's coming out that a lot of women have been misdiagnosed, you know, different personality disorders, different kinds of, you know, are they personality disorders, mental illnesses, are really just, you know, being on the spectrum disorder. Yeah. Which I hate calling it a disorder because I think it's like my superpower. There's a
Right.
little bit of like, there's the downside, of course, of having the social awkwardness and having a hard time maintaining relationships and things like that. Um, but I mean, I feel like I'm a Renaissance woman, like
Right.
because of it, I have a vast array of things I'm mediocre at, and
Great at a lot of things.
and you know, I just continue to learn. Like right now, I'm taking my yoga teacher training. So I'll
Very
be a
cool.
certified yoga teacher. Well, I used to go 5 times a week. I went 5 times last week, but I mean, I do yoga a lot. And when I was in my early 20s, I was a practicing Buddhist. And so it's kind of interesting that so much, well, I just started like literally yesterday, started with the yoga teacher training. And so much of it is parallel with like Buddhist teachings and all of this stuff. I'm like, it's kind of interesting how like I came back full circle from where I was a long time ago when I had first started. Because when I was a teenager, I had a drug addiction. So I kind of like, I feel like I've come full circle back to like an area, a way in which to move through trauma and a way in which to move through all the bullshit.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good to get through it, not the addiction. I'm
No,
sorry
yeah.
that happened.
Oh,
um,
I mean, I'm 41. I was 18, maybe
yeah,
17 the last time I did any kind of hard drugs. So,
whole different lifetime.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry I keep messing with my eye. Uh, so if someone is starting out, I know like a few people who will probably watch this do take photos with the intention of someday becoming, you know, maybe having a business or something. What is like the best piece of advice do you think you could give them?
The best thing that you can do is to take a black and white film class if you can find one. Do an audit class at a college. it teaches you all of the things that a digital camera is trying to emulate. And you'll learn all about like apertures and different like compositions and how to break the rules. And for me, it gives you like that good technical foundation you need to feel confident and to build your creativity upon. Yeah.
All right. That's good advice.
Yeah.
What about somebody, now I know you're not just photography. If anybody follows you, I'm sure they've seen your awesome art. What type of advice would you give to someone just starting out, maybe like doing art or wanting to take it somewhere?
I always, as long as I've been at it, I feel like every time I pick up a pencil, every time I put paint to a piece of paper, I still feel like I'm just starting out. I feel like I haven't gotten my breakthrough, or I have a hard time like visualizing what it should look like, which I know is a big part of art, is like knowing what you want your end product to look like. I never know. So sometimes for me, I just sit and I'll mess up a piece of paper, like I'll overwork things and I'll go too far. So I have been watching a lot of YouTube. I have taken a few courses now on, and I took like illustration and drawing and stuff like that in college. Um, but I think the main thing is, the cliche is to trust the process, but I'm starting to understand as I'm developing my process that you absolutely have to, like, it doesn't matter what the hell the end of it is going to look like. Just sit down and figure out your process and what feels good, what feels right. I mean, dude, I'm not a professional artist. I don't know if I'm the right person to be giving advice, but I
You
mean,
do great art. I love your art.
well, thank you. But yeah, I mean, that's what I do. And then I also, I subscribe to High Fructose and Beautiful Bazaar. So, like I said, I have a very hard time with visualization. So for me, like to be able to like have a reference, or, because I don't know what my style is, because you could look through my art and it would look like 5 different people did it. So, so
I
yeah,
think that's okay. I think
yeah,
it's great.
yeah.
What is your favorite thing to like use to make art?
Um, like a camera, Photoshop. I mean, really, my favorite thing I used to do is collage. I love to do collage. I haven't done any in a really long time, but I feel like my most successful pieces of art, insofar as like having a balanced composition, having good color, things like that, were in the early 2000s when I went to Tulsa Community College and I took
Really?
an illustration class, and I also made a combine, which I gave to my friend Megan, which is like kind of like a wooden, it was like this wooden cabinet with like different, we'll say, oddities and just kind of weird shit. And right now I'm playing with gouache, which I really like, but I don't understand it well enough to like make anything good. And I really like to work with inks and just ink. Ink I think is probably my
Yeah.
favorite medium to work with. So.
Yeah. So wait, you said you built something? Is that what?
Well, a combine is sort of like 3D art. So like it was like found objects basically that you collage with found objects, if that makes it. I think Joseph
Yeah, yeah.
Conrad is his name. He was famous for that. I think that's his name. I only made one, but it was really cool. And I think she still had it. Like not last time I saw her, but several years ago. But I mean, that was so many years ago, like 18 years ago or something. So I don't know.
You should do another. You should do another.
Someday, right now, I'm learning the keyboard, and I bought a synthesizer. I don't have I don't have, what do you call it? The DAW, the digital audio workstation. So I have a gaming PC, but I don't think it's like good enough to process music. Maybe with my bonus or something, I'm gonna get
Right.
like an iMac or something like that can actually process it. While I'm on the phone with you, my dog is tearing up a bed. Roscoe, sorry,
That's okay.
his dog beds, and he's pulled the mattress out of it, and his chair, like, just making a huge mess. Well, shit. Um, yeah. So I don't know where I was because I'm so distracted by my dog. What did I say?
How many pets do you have?
I have two dogs. They're large dogs, which I've always had large dogs because I've been a single mom for so long. So they're kind of like they lose their minds if anything is amiss outside. If anybody walks by with their dogs. But now my kids are grown, so it's like I feel like if these are probably going to be the last dogs I have because they sort of impede my need to travel. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know about that. No cats, no squirrels, no none
none
of
of that.
those.
My son's significant other has a bunny.
A bunny?
So there's a bunny that lives upstairs. So
So you kind of have a bunny.
uh I don't take care of him. So
Oh, well, let me think what else I was gonna ask you. Um, traveling, traveling.
so I can tell you some great budget traveling tips.
Yes.
So if my dog would not vomit right now, that would be perfect. So one of the things that I do is I set up alerts on Google Flights. So so I'll set up alerts for like, wherever I want to go. Like I found round trip flights to Iceland for I think 600 was the cheapest, but I mean still it's hella cheap.
Yeah.
Hey Margaret, that's my sister I was telling you about that runs the
Hi.
Korea boutique in Midland.
Very cool.
That's an amazing artist. Yeah, so that's what I do. I set up a lot of Google Flights, alerts, and then I will like just browse Airbnb. They also have like so my plan was to spend like a month or two in Ireland this summer. Obviously that didn't work out. The Airbnb has a feature where you can like rent a place for a month. I found a place out in Cork, which isn't super far from my work, that is like $500 a month. Like to me, that's totally savable. Like just don't stay off of Amazon, Kamryn. You
Right.
know, so yeah, that's kind of what I do. Or the other plans I kind of make tentatively in my mind are like, okay, Spain is super cheap. I can have a place in Spain for $300 a month. I'll be in the same time zone as Ireland, and I can just work from Spain. And then when a cheap flight comes up to Ireland, I'll just hop over there and say hi to my team because
Yeah.
it was really expensive to rent a car in Ireland. It was like $500 for a week. It was
Really?
it was crazy expensive. Apparently you can rent one for a month for about $1,200. But I'm like, Jesus Christ. I feel like I could buy a cheapy little car for that much. But
Right
then you got
over there. Yeah.
insurance. It's a whole thing. So if I were going to stay for a long time, you absolutely have to have a vehicle. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good tip. So just like set it up on Google?
Yeah, so if you Google Flights, so Google Flights does all this like price tracking and finds like all the cheapest stuff for you. Um, So you can just kind of, it's real easy. And you can do like flexible dates. I want to go to Thailand in January, and you can like it'll show you the prices for each day. If you click on a Friday to the next like Friday 2 weeks from them, it'll show you exactly what it'll cost right then.
Well, that's
Um,
cool.
so yeah, and the airline prices fluctuate. Yeah, Margaret, it is. So you can track those flights. So if that's like if you don't have like a specific date you have to have, you can use they have like a flexible dates thing. Anyway, yeah.
So Airbnb, I have not used it because I don't know exactly. I mean, like I get the gist of it, but like, have you? It's really my kid that makes me kind of like not want to go and do it. Have you ever had a bad Airbnb
No,
experience?
no, never. And my kids, even when they were younger, they've been in. I mean, like everywhere we travel, we always use Airbnb. The only time I had like a bad experience is when I read the calendar wrong and I accidentally overstayed. And it wasn't even a
Oh,
bad experience. They were super nice about it. It was just bad because I felt bad, because I
right.
was like, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I don't know how to read a calendar. And we had to go stay in some seedy motel somewhere outside of like San Diego or something.
That's
So,
fun.
but yeah. But no, I never had a bad experience. I've stayed in Airbnbs at least a dozen times, so you just got to
I
read those
probably need
reviews.
to,
Huh?
yeah, need
Yeah.
to give it a shot.
But the thing is, I've never done the like just rent a room. I always do the entire
Oh yeah,
place. So I've never done that where you like share a house with the owners or whatever. I've never done that.
right.
Um, so, but for
Have
sure,
you?
the
Yeah.
entire place, yeah. Yeah. And I stayed in some cool places. I stayed in some kind of like places that were not represented well. Yeah.
Really?
But I mean, there was never any issues. Yeah.
Stayed in South Korea for 5 weeks at different Airbnbs. That sounds very interesting. I bet that was an experience.
Should interview my sister Margaret.
I know, right?
She's
Just
super
bring her
interested
on too.
too.
You guys can both. All right. So, at the toward the end of every show, we do a. I ask you to tell a story, and then we play a game. Do you have a story
I try
that
to
you would
think
like
of a
to
story. I'm not good with stories. I'm not, I tend to ramble on when I talk.
Yes,
Um,
that's good.
do you have like a prompt for or like what kind
Um,
of stories have other people told?
well, so I've had like a funny story. I've had a bad mushroom experience story. I've had a ghost story. I've had, what else have I had? Oh, I've had how someone got their animals, how they acquired their animals, their pets. Um, but yeah, my favorite thing, do you have a UFO story or that's like,
Not really. One time when I was 12 or 13, my I was dating, she wasn't my best friend at the time, but she became my best friend later. I was dating her brother, and it was like Halloween or something, and we were lying on like the hood of a car, and we were looking up in the sky, and there was like they they could have been satellites, but they moved in a pattern that made triangles. Like it was like a weird triangle pattern of something, and I'm like, Jason, oh my God, look at that! I didn't really like that, but he saw it too, and I'm not crazy. So that's about
right,
the
right.
closest thing I've had to a UFO experience. Whenever I lived in Tulsa, my ex and I used to go to like there was a place that's near where I used to live in Tulsa that was like an was it an orphanage? It was some spooky place, but it was shut down. It was like on top of this hill. And Tulsa's like got like it got a district that's super historic, like from the early 1900s to the 30s. The Tulsa race massacres happened there. So this building was kind of like active during all of that time.
Wow.
So I didn't see anything scary, but I was terrified to go through that because we
Yeah.
would go at night and we would have like a camera and a flashlight and like I would have like my little point and shoot like film camera because this was like
Yeah.
2002 and I would just I would have my head down because I was so scared and just like snapping pictures above my
All
head because
around you.
I was so afraid. And we did the same thing. There's like it's supposedly like a mass burial site that you can see like the little orbs, that everybody always sees at like quote unquote ghost places. And that same thing. I scared myself to death. I didn't
Yeah.
witness anything. I don't have any good stories. I'm sorry.
No, those are great stories. I love ghosts and UFO stories and Halloween stories, and I think you ticked all those boxes with those stories.
Well, I don't, it's maybe not be appropriate, but so one Halloween this must have been in 1998. I was like a size 3. I was a gorgeous young woman, and very daring, we'll say. And it was 6th Street and Halloween. And this was before I had kids, before anything like that. And I paraded myself around 6th Street in a little tiny micro leather skirt and just latex on my nipples. And we had like news crews following us around. There were
What?
dudes. there were dudes that would walk by with their wives and like do that whole thing, and like
Get
you would
in
just,
trouble.
yeah, you would just, I saw like four dudes get slapped. But
Nice.
it was definitely like one of my wilder time, like, I just didn't care. Like back then I didn't have kids, I didn't, you know,
Right.
so yeah, I have a Polaroid somewhere of it. I don't know where it is.
Oh, that's
But yeah, that
awesome.
that was I just remember like it was just exhilarating, right? Like it's just one of those things of like, look what I'm doing and you can't do crap because I'm not technically naked, like that
Right.
kind of thing. So, and here we are
You
still trying to
can't.
find our nipples. I don't know. Yeah.
Uh, uh, nah.
Aw, thank you, Queen 3 Easy. How, how about when Bryn and me were in the car with you singing songs? Shut up, Margaret. No, I'm not telling that story. No,
Your
no.
sister is blasting you.
No, but those are the only stories I could think of when you were asking me to share stories of like bad situations that you don't want to talk about publicly. Yeah, Margaret's laughing so hard. Bunch of assholes.
Look, yes, she is.
Let's
That's
just
silly.
say it was just I'm not going to talk about it. I digress. I yield the floor to you.
That's funny. Well, I mean, I liked your other story, so if you decide to tell it, let me know. Okay, so I chose an office trivia game. I know you like The Office. I like The Office.
Yes, and I read up a whole bunch of office trivia before. It's like I don't think she can get me on anything because I scored
Um,
100% on all the BuzzFeed tests.
well, I didn't get too crazy with it because I think I've watched it 4 times
Oh,
through, and the ones that I could answer pretty easily, I kept, and then I threw a few in there just because like I didn't know like what level of, you know.
no, girl. I have probably seen. I mean, I would think 100 times is understating, but really, like, it's my comfort show that I kind of like play in the
Yeah.
background while I make art, or that I fall asleep to. Like, and I don't even like watch it most of the time. It's more like listening to it.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I do actually sit and watch it, like, I'm like, oh, I always
No.
like I've never noticed that before. So there's it'll surprise me here and there. So
Right.
yeah. All right, go.
All right. Okay. So first one is, what does Michael pretend to fire Pam over in season one?
Post-it
Stealing
notes.
post-it notes. Oh,
Oh,
I don't even have to give you. I don't even have to give you options. It's so funny.
he was such a jerk. He was such a jerk in that episode where he pretends to fire her over stealing post-it
She's
notes and she
crying.
starts crying. And then she's like, "Yeah, jerk." Yeah, no, go ahead next.
What does Michael ask Pam to spread on his foot that he burned on the George Foreman grill?
Butter.
I should have gotten more. I see. Okay, what color does Angela think is kind of whorish?
Oh, green. And then in a later season she says orange because
Well,
Phyllis was wearing orange when she's like, "I thought you said green was whorish." And she looks at Phyllis and Phyllis is wearing orange. She's like, "No, oranges." So
see, I didn't even have that second part in there. All right. What is Michael's middle name?
Gary.
What was the worst thing about prison?
The worst thing about prison was the Dementors.
What is Gabe's middle name?
Susan. Is it Susan?
Yes,
Gabriel Susan Lewis? Yeah.
yes. What is the name of David Wallace's product idea?
I was going to sing the song, Suck It.
Sing the song.
No. Suck it. Suck it. You pick out, you suck it, and you suck it. Okay.
What gift does Robert California bring to the garden party?
A basil plant, though it should have been marmalade.
What does Michael drink every morning?
Milk and sugar. No coffee, just milk and sugar.
What is the name of Angela's cat that Dwight killed?
Sprinkles. She doesn't want garbage. She wants sprinkles.
I was just supposed to ask what's the replacement cat? What branch of Dunder Mifflin does Karen become regional manager at?
Stanford.
I have Utica.
Oh shit, it's Utica, not
Is
Stanford.
it?
Oh,
Well,
I got one wrong. Much
no,
disappointment.
that's only one. That's only one. Who are the last two people to leave Robert California's house party?
Oh God, Ryan and Gabe.
Oh my God, that was a funny one. What are your thoughts on Robert California? Hi,
I
Mom.
thought he was great. Like he was a great. I love I love the film The Secretary. So I felt like that was almost an extension, like a more weird extension, like as if he had just
Of that
aged and
character.
he like yeah, no, I thought
Yeah, no, he's
he,
awesome.
he kind of saved those last seasons where Steve Carell wasn't there. Him and Nellie, like they
Oh
saved
yeah,
those last seasons because their characters were just so they were just fun, right? They were
ridiculous.
just ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is sex. Yeah.
So I don't know if you can even answer this because I probably couldn't. Who's your favorite character?
Dwight, I think. Dwight
Really?
and Michael because and Angela. I mean, so all these so I feel like Pam and Jim, I hated Jim to be honest with you. Like
Really?
he was a bully. Watching it like I'm like watch it 17 more times. But I mean like he like you never see really Dwight prank him or do anything to him other than he's just very severe, right? And
Right.
convicted by Margaret. Um and I feel like Jim just was like kind of bullied him the whole time. And sometimes Pam joined in, but I feel like those were like the straight man characters, and you never really see growth in them.
Yeah.
But you know, Dwight and Angela and Michael, you do see them grow and become
Right.
better people and become, you know, like just grow into better people. And
Right.
I felt like their story arcs were just more interesting, to be perfectly honest
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Definitely. All right. Well, I should have added a couple more of those. I did not expect you to smoke that whole thing, but you did. You did awesome. And
That's what she said.
um, oh, that's funny.
No, I mean, in
Um,
my real life, I'm a recruiter and I do interviews all day. I mean, I do
yeah,
a
tell
lot
me
more
about.
than that. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? I am a nerd and I talk to nerds all day. I am the nerd whisperer. I know tons of shit about technology, IT, and even like the nitty gritty in-depth stuff of like AI and all of that stuff.
Ooh.
Uh, I love to talk about that stuff. Um, so if anybody want to know my opinions on the future,
Yes.
you know, you know, I work for an automotive company where we plan to electrify all of our vehicles by 2030.
Oh,
You
cool.
know, and you know, for autonomous vehicles, I mean, it's coming, whether people plan it or not. All the car companies are working on it. I'm pretty excited about it, and if all the car companies are working on it, working together with it, like it's a lot safer that way.
Yeah.
I think that's the fear is that it's gonna like people don't understand how stupid AI is right now. Like it's super dumb. Um,
Right.
there's some people out there who've tried to demonstrate that it's developing its own. Like you, literally, when you're writing an algorithm, when you're writing a learning algorithm for machine learning, like you're teaching it what to do and how to learn, so you can correct any of those things that it just takes some time, right? Yeah. Anyway, like one candidate I talked to had his PhD in ontology, which I had no idea what ontology was, but it's basically the how stop it, guys. No. Uh, but ontology is basically like in natural language processing. When you're like giving a command to Siri or just how you're teaching these robots to talk to understand language, so it breaks down the natural language kind of the way it's basically the way language is broken down into categories and groups. I think if I'm understanding it right, and then it's basically like an applied linguistics to natural language processing and in the areas of AI and stuff like that. So
That sounds really cool.
it's super fun.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I think being an IT recruiter is like that perfect blend of like having to have enough science education and using creativity. But my company's awesome, so it's not that hard. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you are somewhere that you really want to be and you really like your job. I mean, I think that's super important.
Yeah, because a lot of
In
people
life.
hate their jobs. So,
Yeah, they do.
yeah, don't cry.
Or don't have jobs.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
true. That's true. Especially right now, I know it's hard for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of sucks out there right now, man. Um, but are you able to work from home or are you having to go in and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, because I support Ireland at work, I've kind of been working from home anyway for the last 2 years, 3 years.
Nice.
I was never fond of going into the office. Sorry, ladies at the office. It has nothing to do with you. I work better in silence by myself.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been working from home for a long time.
Nice. And you can stay productive
Same.
that way.
Yeah, most of the time. I stay pretty productive. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I don't have any more interview questions. If there's anything else you want to talk about, we still have about 8 minutes left before
Oh,
Instagram tells us to go home.
oh, really? That's it?
Yeah.
Hey, Amanda. Well, that's fine because it's my bedtime at 10. I put on makeup to do this. Yeah, yeah. So and I took all my sleeping pills like right before we started this. So I mean, that sleeping pills. It's like a melatonin and
Ooh, yes.
like it's called Sleep Fairy, and yeah. So I can feel it starting to kick in.
Oh, well, we will let you get to bed.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for joining me tonight. You had so much interesting stuff to talk about. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you did.
Well, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yes,
It was,
ma'am.
all right.
All
Good.
right. Thank y'all for joining us. We will see you Tuesday. When do I do this? Tuesday. I'll see you guys Tuesday. Thank you, Kamryn. If you want to find her, you can find her on
Oh, I will add myself. Is this available later? Oh, can I spell today? Shit, no.
the comments are not, but I can put it in
Uh,
the
so I think if you just search thieving magpie, as in someone stealing something, thieving, because magpies like to steal shiny shit. Thieving magpie photography. I honestly don't do anything on that account, and the one that I'm talking to you from now is my private personal account. So I don't add anybody anymore unless I know
So
them.
I'll link the Thieving Magpie then so
Okay,
they can see your
cool,
stuff that you've done. Yeah.
cool.
All right. Sounds
Sounds
good.
good.
Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for coming and being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks, B.
Hey, good night,
Bye.
y'all.